And it's so funny is you'll actually see this. Uh, Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here. Welcome back for a Mechwarrior 5 DLC Heroes of the Inner Sphere review. We're going to be diving into a few things. So sit back, relax, and let's talk. Before we get started, I just want to encourage you to head over to the Twitch channel if you haven't done so already. I stream Monday through Friday, 12 to 6 p.m. We have a fantastic time. I'm able to hang out with you guys daily, answer questions for new bros coming in, and of course, just get to know all of you guys. So again, if you haven't done so, head over to twitch.tv/NGNGTV. I'll have a link down below as well as our Discord link, which again, you can utilize 24/7, and I hope to see you there. Let's go and talk about the first feature, and that's career mode. From their website, you have start a career from scratch in any of the great houses, or import your progress from the original campaign, completely rebalanced so you can explore the inner sphere and build your merc company as you please. Obviously, your ability to import from the old save game, that's cool, especially if you put in a lot of time and effort and you went and like collected all the hero mechs, so forth and so on. I think that's a cool feature. It says completely rebalance so you can explore the inner sphere and build your merc company as you please. The rebalance thing that they're talking about is basically where they've moved the conflict zones around. It's no longer basically just a clock going around as far as difficulty. Now it's as you get closer to the inner sphere, if you will, the Terra, the conflict zones get harder, and as you branch out, the conflict zones get easier. But that is in all the factions, so that's actually really nice. And speaking of career mode, when we first start here, you're able to basically pick one of the 6 houses, and this corresponds with your starting location and your starting mechs. All of them are pretty, standard, gives you history. I think that's fine. The only thing that I think I'd like to see this improved is that your starting mechs maybe varies every single time. That way it's not the same. Now, the argument I could see being made here from a design standpoint is a player will just restart until they get whatever mechs they want, so you might as well just have choice. If that's the case, that'd be cool too. Maybe you have some variation, but maybe you're playing in Iron Man mode and you like that challenge or whatever. But anyways, that's a nitpick here. Other than that, I do like the fact of you can start anywhere. Now, outside of that, obviously it doesn't affect your reputation, and that's not a bad thing, but it'd be interesting as well if you could start as a pirate or some other type of periphery state as well. I think those options would be really cool. And of course, in accordance with that, you could have different mechs as well. So as far as the starting location and starting your career, this is a pretty basic setup. I like it. It's nothing crazy. HBS Battletech did something similar. A little bit more information on their side. You're able to pick like, your name as well. Obviously, this assumes like your Mason. It would be cool if that could change too, and it's really split away from the campaign, because obviously it calls you Commander Mason a lot. It'd be interesting if like you didn't have to be. You could create your own name or in your own, where you came from, a little bit of history. In Battletech, they had like, you escaped, or you were a warrior, or you're a merc for a house or whatever, and it affected your other stuff. But as far as just a basis, not bad. And let's go ahead and move forward. All right, the next thing on their feature list is visit cantinas to pick up jobs on the inner sphere's shadiest characters. Complete 5 different job types to unlock career paths. Rewards include powerful and unique quirks that tweak properties of your mech. Career paths work in both campaign and career mode. Now, this is actually a feature that I really enjoy of the DLC, the cantinas, the jobs. They're basically like mini quests. I mean, you see them in a whole bunch of other types of games out there. And basically these little side quests that you can earn XP. I just feel like the word career path is super strange. I don't know about you guys, but like career path, to me, this doesn't fit, like, because this is finite. Like, you're going to max these out. Are they career paths, or like to me, it's just a weird name. I don't like the weird career assigned to this. I don't know really what else to say about that other than, like, I like the jobs. I like cantinas. I feel like they're not varied enough. I think there could be some real depth here. I can see what they're trying to do. I'm okay with them being, like, easy, and I'm okay with some being harder. But overall, I like the system. I think it's going to be really cool seeing what modders do with it. I think it'd be cool if you could open this up to more. It says 6 out of 6. I don't know why it's limited. That's like my biggest critique here as far as that's concerned. But the name career path, I think, is very weird. I don't know really what else I would have named it, but I wouldn't tie it to career because it's not your career. Like, these are these are jobs, contracts that, you know, I would call it maybe contract specialties, or, you know, like job requests or something that you can take. I don't know, it's weird, but I like the overall, they say quirks, but traits, the basically mech upgrades. I think these are actually really cool, especially when you think about MWO on how they handle quirks, and then here this is like a little bit of a more depth to it. So again, hands down, this is fantastic, and I know for a lot of modders this is going to open a ton of possibilities for their own sort of imagination to take over. I like this. I think it's significant. I like that, you know, it's you spend your C-bills and time to get it. You get to fine tune your mech, and it doesn't make up for the fact of you still can't really customize your mech a whole lot. No, but I think it adds at least flavor that we didn't have before. And like I said, I overall like the career paths. I just feel like it's a super weird name. It should just be like, hey, you have access to these contracts, and these contracts are available at cantinas, and cantinas will offer you to take these contracts and earn XP to unlock mech upgrades. But I don't know career paths. Like I said, that sounds really weird. I didn't really understand that. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but as far as an overall system and feature, I like it. And especially from the modder standpoint, that's a really cool thing. So, and it's really nice to like have jobs where, like, if, for instance, if you have a flea or a commando and you can go to operate, you know, operation stats, you can be like, hey, you know, where do I need to go to find like, you know, commandos, and I can go to these systems and like do that. So I do like that. I think it'd be cooler again as they add more and more, hopefully maybe in DLC 2 or what modders add, because like this is like infinite. And another cool thing too is like it doesn't have to be like conflict zone, does it? Like, couldn't, like, why not have it on some of these outer worlds that don't necessarily have to do with conflict, but like their search, or like, I don't know, it'd be interesting. But overall, I like the job system. Probably even just call it jobs or contracts instead of career paths. But overall, I like it, and it's a good feature. All right, moving on to the next thing. Warzone, industrial hubs, and quests from Nick's Cavaliers campaign are all accessible in this mode. The expanded Inner Sphere map now includes 61 total war zones, 34 industrial hubs, and 55 total quest lines. Now let's talk about the war zones and how they moved them around. I actually do like what they did, and this is actually one of my things I critiqued the original game for, because basically it went in clockwise, whereas when you started in the Inner Sphere here over in Davian space, as you went around, it got harder, but there was nothing out here. And I would still like to see a little bit more, and maybe even periphery states. I don't know if that's modders are going to do that or official from PGI, but like it would be really cool to really travel around and have a reason to explore. And to be fair, I think what you could do is you could actually have some pretty high level ones in the periphery states here against like pirates. Like, as I mentioned before, the only thing that I wish for career mode selection is that you could be a pirate. Like, maybe you don't like the houses and you want to stick it to the man. Like, obviously you can do that a little bit here, but like I'm talking about like actual pirate and unlock better, you know, black market and so forth and so on. But overall, as far as the industrial zones, I feel like they're a little anemic in some areas. Like, again, you have a huge hole here, which it's like weird no man's land in Karita space, and you've got a few others as well. I don't know, again, if modders can access that, but that's something maybe in the future. I don't know if it's impacted others as well. As far as quest, you have access to all of the older quests, and then we have new ones as well. The map is obviously going to change as you progress. I'm in 3029 right now, and I know some people are like in 31, something like that. But overall, I like this change. This is a positive thing. I think just some more variants. Maybe you do have some harder ones out in these weird zones. I understand the conflict zones would be in the middle. I get that. But yeah, overall, I think it's an improvement from the base game. All right, let's talk about the new heroes and the accompanying quest lines with them, right? We have 7 new heroes and 7 new quest lines. Oh boy, where do I start here? And I'm going to go and be upfront about this. I was a little bit disappointed with the quest lines I've done so far, and I've done 2. I'm not going to spoil them for you guys, and if you're listening to this, you've already done them, or if you haven't. My main issue with them is that it's only one hand-scripted mission, and that's at the very end of the quest line. So all the others are just the basic mission types. That's it. So, you know, it's pretty much same of the same. Yeah, you get some voice acting, and some is better than others. And that's cool, and you get some unique dialogue, but it just feels like the same recipe. And I've talked a lot about this on my Twitch stream, which is it's the same recipe, you know, in Demolition or Assassination or Beachhead, it's the exact same recipe. All they do is they throw you more mechs, more vehicles, or more accurate pilots, and that's it. It's not like it's dynamic or it's unique or anything like that, except for the last mission. Now, I did like the last mission of the Dragon, and I sort of liked the last mission of the Victor. That being said, I felt a little bit, I think the word is anticlimactic. How the scripting was at the end of mission for the Victor. Let's just say I finished the mech off so quick. The mech was already dead, and the lines of the Mechwarrior came out like 30 seconds after the mech was dead. So it was just one of those things like, it was like, oh, okay. Like, that's a thing. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy that. And I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a nitpick for me, but like, I feel like so many other people out there where those hand scripted missions, that's what people are wanting the entire quest to be. Now, someone could argue, well, Phil, that's going to take a lot of time. So what, man? I would rather have quality over quantity. And as far as this is regard, like, I like that what they did there on those last ones, but again, there's just like, I just feel it's lacking. So just being perfectly honest, I've been sort of disappointed with the two I've done so far, but you know, and the mechs themselves, the Victor, they didn't even use a canon like sort of setup like a cool hero. It's slightly different. They basically created their own. And so again, it's like, it's just one of those things where, you know, did they have to do that? And I feel like, again, I'm being like overly critical. I'm just being honest with you guys, how I feel about it. The 7 heroes in the quest system, I was expecting more, man. I was expecting some like really cool stuff, and you get a hint of it. You get a hint of it, a glimmer of it. And to me, I'm just like, that's what we want times like 100. So if PGI, if you're listening, take that and the scripted and just ramp it up. And to me, I want story. I want quality. I want to feel a part of a bigger thing. And maybe I'll find that in some of the others, and I'll have to come back and sort of like, hey, just FYI, this was a really good one. But as far as the Dragon's concerned, and as far as the Victor, just a little bit disappointed, again, with the overall impact. It just, like I said, leading up to the end mission, it was the same recipe, which again, I wasn't expecting. I was expecting actually hand scripted missions throughout. So the new mechs, of course, this is a bonus. New mechs, new variants. I think this is all well and good. I've ran into most of these, or I've seen most of them. I think the only mechs I haven't seen so far is the Corsair, Hatamoto, but I've seen all the others. I mean, you guys already know all about these mechs. Overall, more is better. More options, more variety. There's no negative here. I think it's positive. Again, I've seen the Charger 1A1, 5 small lasers. That thing is okay. Reasons. You know, it does sort of like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's an assault mech, yeah, but it has 5 smalls and it's not really terrifying. So there's that. The new variants, again, we have a ton of them. I've seen quite a bit of the Jenner P, and it's so funny like watching this, because like when you run into some of these that have the superchargers, they're like run animations like stupid, you know, fast comparatively, and you're like, oh yeah, before you even see the designation, you know it. Look, I'm all for new variants. I think that's fine, and it gives you more options to basically hunt and find the mechs that you want. There are like clear winners as far as variants out there that have like better hard point sizes and combinations. Again, this just sort of plays into the mech lab that they currently have, and of course, it gives you the ability to hunt more. And also, too, is like which mechs get thrown at you and what you're going to see on the missions. Again, instead of it just being repetitive, the same old. Even though we do see a lot of urban mechs, so that is a thing as well. So yeah, urban mechs are now the new cicadas. All right, let's talk about the new biome, Extra Solar Moon. Don't really understand why it was called Extra. They could have just called it Solar Moon. I'd like an explanation there. Overall, I like the aesthetic. I mean, the whole biome, it's nice, crisp, and clear. I have no issue with it. It's got a unique tile set as far as, they call these, they don't call them tile sets, they call them garrisons. Garrisons are these like pre-made, you know, things instead of calling them tile sets. The only thing that's weird is, if you'll notice here, for those that have not seen this, cover your eyes. There's human beings. Look at that. Oh, they get sucked out to the vacuum of space. And it's so funny is you'll actually see this. on like normal biomes, but it'll use this garrison. So for those that didn't know, I guess it's to interpret like the vacuum of space and people inside being sucked out or whatever. But yeah, now that you've seen that, you will not be able to not see it. Just yeah, yeah, that's a thing. All right, next up is the Beachhead mission. Now, obviously, I was fortunate enough to do a sort of hype video with Nutty Rat, Star Wolf, and Violent Blue a while back. And this is actually how I got access to the DLC ahead of time. Was PGI had reached out to us. Full disclosure, to do a paid promotion video, which was really cool of them back then. That is how I got access to the DLC on Steam early. I know people were asking about that. When we did the video, basically it was us dropping, and again, you can watch it, us dropping multiple times. You can see it was actually on 2 different maps, and they had a cool editor and they did it together. It was basically a hype video, right? So obviously when that went live, people were asking a lot of questions, and the one thing I couldn't tell you was basically I didn't know how it was going to be with real gameplay. Like I didn't know how difficult it would be. As far as with AI or down the road after they've made changes to balance. I didn't know. So obviously skip forward to now modern, and now we have a pretty good idea of what Beachhead is or what it could be. One of my biggest complaints about this game mode actually happened on stream a few days ago of Mech 5, and that had to do with one of the Beachhead missions that happened, which once you start engaging here with the AI, once you start engaging, artillery starts being called. But here's the thing, I can't issue commands to my friendlies to go find or attack artillery. And so even if I bring up the minimap, I can't control. There's no click, there's no function for me to go issue. So what this basically left me do is getting pummeled. And then on top of that, it was a fog, right? 200 meters of visibility maybe. And so this sort of highlighted a design issue that I had with this game mode right off the bat, which is really penalizing. I'm an experienced, Mechwarrior, and coming into here, I was getting, there was at least like, I don't even know how many artillery, and I'm in a really nice Atlas. And the first thing you could be saying is like, well, Phil, just take something faster. But the problem with this game mode and the problem with PGI's balance as far as the game modes is all it is the same recipe, which is what mechs and how many mechs, what vehicles and how many vehicles, and then how accurate are they. That's it. It's not like they're using any strategies as far as like flanking maneuvers or, smoke or ambushing you or whatever. And so without you being able to issue commands to say like, hey, go to those artillery locations and take those out, where normally that's how you would ask a player, right? And so to me, this game mode is really fun with players and co-op because you don't have to, like, I have to physically go to these locations one by one to basically take out the satellite dishes and take out their artillery. I have to have line of sight on the artillery, and I was even having bugs where I couldn't even lock onto the artillery and issue orders. So even when I had a line of sight, I was still getting random. It was so frustrating, and I could only imagine someone who hasn't had this. So I like the game mode, the thought process behind it. I like the idea here. The problem is the execution. There's no waypoints. This game needs waypoints dramatically. If there's stuff up in these, again, there's not even Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why don't we have grids? If I have enemies in the top right grid, I have to physically go there. What's the point of having AI if I can't tell them, hey, go to this grid or set up a waypoint or go attack this artillery while I'm going to hit this satellite, or hey, one of you each go attack, you don't have any of that finite control. So I ran into, like, I guess the worst case scenario, which is basically you had fog, you couldn't see, artillery was bugged, maybe, I don't know. And then on top of that, you can't issue commands to tell them to go actually do what the objectives are. So again, moving forward, I would love to see PGI add the ability for you to issue your AI lance mates to go play the objectives right now. Because without that, this basically game mode just screams, basically just blob up, go do one thing at a time. And what that leaves you is in a weird place because, again, your argument could be, well, on that mission, Phil, you should have just been lighter. The problem is, if you go any lighter, they throw so much at you at like 70 plus difficulty. It's a game of attrition. And, you know, again, it's one of those things where, like, when you physically can't see anything 200 meters in front of you, and then you couldn't even lock on to like artillery, it's just super frustrating. So I'd like to see that. I'd love to see waypoints, or the ability to just like an MWO, like I can use my mouse to say like ping on the map and they go to that location or something. But as far as my overall thought process on the beachhead mission, because of those issues, I just don't like this game mode because it can be very penalizing. And I can't imagine someone who's on Xbox and is trying to do that mission I did with AI lance mates and doesn't have the experience level I do. It would have just been absolutely horrible. And they probably, to no fault of their own. Like, so again, this is my critique of this game mode. It really does need improved, and waypoints would help out the others as well. And even more commands, like even just a form on me or go to location. Like, why not just like, hey, go attack the objective, or go to Nav Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, whatever it is. It just needs to really be expanded. So beachhead mission, I think it could be super easy if you're set up right. But also, too, I think it could be super, super penalizing for out there. And it's to no fault of the player's own. It's a design flaw. And unfortunately, I did have Dave F. from Piranha Games in my Twitch chat and said waypoints were, he called them a chest full of broken dreams. And so my retort to that would be, why not? Why wouldn't you do it now? Who's stopping you? Like, that's a great addition to this game that I think would add value. So if anybody's listening, I don't know who's in charge at PGI. Like, I literally don't know who to ask, because if your lead designer, who is Dave F., is basically saying, yeah, it's a, wishful dream, I'd love to add it, but like, where's the but? Who's in charge of that? Like, let's go, let's do that. Like, that needs to happen. And he had like alternatives that he could do, but it wasn't fixing the problem. It was just basically like, well, we could do this in the medium, or just fix that, add those things. Like, what's stopping you? I mean, you want to improve this game. And like I said, from a controller standpoint, being able to pull up that map and then like actually like tell your landmates where to go, or being able to pull up the, F1, whatever, and it tell them, hey, go play the objective. Like, even if it labeled them like, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, like artillery A, artillery B, whatever it is. Anyways, I feel like I just want to be very clear. That's a huge problem, and it's the same thing with some of the other game modes out there. So let me know what you guys feel like with the game mode, but I just feel like that just needs to be fixed. All right, let's talk about weapons and equipment. I'm going to be blunt. I haven't really used a whole lot of the new weapons. I think chemical lasers are great, and especially the low heat. I think there's some stuff to play around. The mech rifles, I think there's some fun combinations. Streaks, I haven't found a need or want for those. Really, but and the ECM, ECMW, all these, the ECM, I've ran into units. I was able to lob LRMs at them, so I don't know really what it's doing. It wasn't affecting me. I don't know, again, if it was bugged or whatever. And my other biggest critique to all of this, and it's something that, PGI has like put their foot down on, is that these only work on select variants. So you start seeing like the EW ECM pop up in ECM and stuff, and BAP, like BAP, there's a slot for BAP. Like, you can't put these on every mech. Again, the idea, what they're trying to do is like, hey, there's special variants out there, go find those. But it basically means like this equipment is useless on 90% of or more of the chassis that you find out there, and you can't really utilize it. I haven't even ran into a mech that I've salvaged with a supercharger yet. So there's that. Mask, again, I don't even own a mech that has mask. So to me, it's just one of those things where, again, from the feature standpoint, it's like, hey, cool, you added it, but it's so restrictive as far as their use. You have to find a mech that allows you to use it. So, as of right now, I think that's a net negative, but that goes back to talking about the Mechwarrior 5 Mech Lab and how restrictive it is. But we'll wait to sort of dive in and use case scenario more. I mean, I like Mask. I think it's I've used it on the hero dragon, but the problem too is its decharge rate is very, very low. It's great that you can go that fast and do that, but it's very, it's a niche thing. And yeah, so I wasn't really too impressed, especially considering like there's other like it just felt like there wasn't a whole lot of equipment here added to the DLC. Do you guys feel that way out there? Is like I just felt like you know, one, we waited almost 18 months for it, and this is the only additions that we got. Yeah, we got a bunch of variants, but like no new, you know, like I just felt like there could have been more here. But that's what we're stuck with. So what are your guys' feelings? ECM, stuff like that, worth it? I don't know. I haven't even been able to use most of this. And that's with 40 hours in the game. That was a lot of words by me. And some of you guys out there might be thinking, Phil, do you think it's worth a buy? I don't feel comfortable, and I said this in streams, to tell you whether or not you should buy something. I will show you a game, I will show you the DLC, I will show you a mech, I will show you a feature, and I will show you what is capable of, or what it's capable of, or what it does. And you can make that informed decision whether you think it's worth a buy as far as the purchasing of this. I feel like I need to be very open and honest in this segment about this. If you enjoyed Mech 5 and the gameplay loop that Mech 5 had originally before the DLC, if you've been playing nonstop or a lot of hours in Mech 5, you're going to like this DLC. You're going to like the additions. Like I said, I've liked everything except for a few things, and that was mainly the lack of equipment, the lack of usage on the equipment. The beachhead mission is really frustrating, I think, in certain circumstances, especially in that hero quest line. You know, so there are a few things that it has a few faults, but overall, I love the job system. I love the fact that you can travel around. There's different conflict zones now. I like the mech upgrade quirk system. I like upgrades. I don't like the word quirks. I like that. That's added stuff. I like the new story, you know, introduction. Yes, I know some people are like, oh, it could be better, but it's a lot better than what it was. I like the addition here and what they've done. I like the AI. That's another thing that we can talk about. I haven't seen as much spawning from behind, though I will admit I have seen it happen live on stream. It does happen. Funny enough, it happened more on scripted missions than it did on the procedural stuff. But again, that's something that I feel like PGI needs to clean up. Again, the whole reinforcement thing, demolition is just constant reinforcement. There's stuff that I feel like they need to really focus on the repetitive nature and diversification as missions. Missions should feel different. A demolition should feel different from one faction to the other, or one job from the other, and so forth and so on. Like, you know, that needs to be addressed, and I hope that does in the future. But that being said, as far as if you enjoyed Mech 5 at the default level, you'll enjoy the DLC. I'm not telling you to purchase it. What I'm saying is I think you'll enjoy the DLC. If you did not enjoy Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, you will not enjoy the DLC. If, one, it was because of the repetitive nature of the missions. If you didn't like the original gameplay loop of Mechwarrior 5, that take a contract, drop, rinse, repeat, and go forth, you're not going to like this DLC. This just basically adds other stuff, and then it still has the repetitive nature. 100%. It's still there. That hasn't changed. To be very clear. If you didn't like the Mech 5 from the start because of AI and the spawning like instantaneously behind you, that has been addressed for the most part. Like I just said a moment ago, it still does happen, but not like it used to. Okay, be very clear. The AI also uses jump jets, albeit sometimes very awkwardly. I feel like jump jet usage is sort of like a why it doesn't use it as smartly, like jumping over walls and stuff. It's sometimes it needs cleaned up. So I hope that does get cleaned up in the future. If you didn't like Mechwarrior 5 because it didn't have as much story or just the depth and substance, again, the DLC adds a little bit of it with the quest lines. You see a glimmer, but it's not there. So maybe this DLC isn't for you. That all being said, I don't know what they're going to be doing with DLC 2. We haven't heard anything. My overall review of the DLC is this. It adds value to the base game and adds some layers that should have been there from the start, I believe. That being said, it doesn't add super amounts of depth and substance that I've said that this game needs, especially in the mission system, so it doesn't feel repetitive over and over and over again. And that's what the main gameplay loop is, by the way. It's to take a contract and drop, but because it's the same recipe each time, it's the same demolition. Now, before you guys say, well, you can take different mechs, it's the same recipe. You're not being ambushed. You're not, like I mentioned earlier, it's not like you're building up a negative reputation and you've pissed off Davians so much that maybe they set you up, right? You're just thinking it's a demolition mission and you roll in and all of a sudden it's an ambush and you either have to fight or get out. You don't have those situations. You don't have multiple objectives and missions except for Beachhead. Now, the functionality's there. I know we're going to do it for our mods and stuff like that, but what is PGI going to do? Because again, that gameplay loop, that's your primary way of keeping players engaged. And the basis is there. You just need depth and substance. And I hope that comes across to you guys out there of what I'm saying is like that gameplay loop, I want to get sucked in, but it feels the same every single time. Every single mission feels the same. It's a different mech. Looks like the same biome. It looks like I've done this. It just doesn't feel like, like I matter or my what I do as a mercenary matters. And it doesn't feel, again, it's this gameplay loop. So again, overall, I think it's a good addition to the game. I feel like it should have been there from the start. I feel like this is probably what they wanted the game to be at the start. But I'm optimistic of what that means for the future. I don't know, and we'll have to wait and see. But overall, guys, that's my impression of the Heroes of the Inner Sphere. It adds value, but if you didn't like the base game and the repetitive nature, this isn't for you. But for the rest of you guys who do enjoy it, enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that. And I hope PGI continues to improve on the base game.